Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is Transfers Live. Joining me, as always, is my good friend and esteemed colleague, Joe Smith. How you doing, brother?
Good. We're also joined by a quite upsetting echo. If we can sort that out off camera, please, that would be ideal. I'm doing very well. There's quite a bit to talk about tonight, isn't there?
There is.
Players leaving,
players
going,
might
be
coming in potentially, getting debuts potentially, going out on loan, going out permanently.
And does Solskjaer deserve a new contract?
Yes.
That's our talking point later on as well. Get your thoughts on that.
Of course he does. He's the best manager we've ever had since Sir Alex.
Interesting. Go on then. Start us off.
First of all, I'm very sad.
Why are you sad, Jay?
Sad news.
It's not the.
Go on. Are we really gonna? Yeah.
It's not
I am like
socks,
Mr. Beige in what I'm wearing, whilst others have come in fancy dress.
I look like I'm going on safari, don't I? No, I'm only joking. Why are you sad?
Odine's leaving.
Is
It's official. Comunicado official. Odin Ighalo. Listen, whether you think he's good enough for Manchester United or not, you can't help but like Odin Ighalo. He's been a breath of fresh air. Loves United. Got his dream move. I know we don't buy players because of this, but he was great on socials. Always posting like he was proper celebrating. Just
great on socials.
He was like, I know he's
Would
like.
you say he's better on socials or better on the pitch?
Anyway, so he's gone. He's done a heartfelt Instagram post. I won't read it all because we'll be here all day. But
yeah, we love him. Everything he does is fantastic. He means so much to us. Only read half of that old shit because it's boring.
Do you want me to read it all?
Read it all!
All right.
For God's sake!
He's put with an
This is Odin Ighalo, former Manchester United player and club ambassador in the future as well.
Yeah, damn right. He says, it's so hard to see this dream come to an end, but I give God the glory for helping me fulfil this lifelong dream of putting on a Manchester United shirt as a player and represent this great club. It was indeed an honour I will forever cherish and be grateful for. To the manager, I say thank you for trusting and believing in me when many did not. To my amazing teammates, I will miss you guys. It was always fun and a time I look forward to training and spending time with all of you. And I pray we win the league and FA Cup this year. Fingers crossed emoji. To the best fans in the world, open brackets, the Manchester United fans, close
Love
brackets,
that.
just in case.
In case you thought he was talking about City fans.
Yeah.
Lazio fans.
Bit of a clarification there.
Yes.
We have missed you, but we hear your voices cheering us on from afar. We can't wait to have you all back on the stands. I am still and would remain a Manchester United fan forever. Once a Red, always a Red. Thank you, Manchester United and Stretford Paddock, especially Jay Motti, and God bless.
And I can't believe you didn't want to read all that. There's a personal endorsement at the end there.
I may have lied about the Jay Motti bit, but yeah, lovely, heartfelt message there
really
from a
nice
guy who, okay, you know, let's face facts, he didn't come in and score loads of goals, but he was a breath of fresh air, wasn't he?
He really was, and it was during a time when it's easy to forget that, I know Bruno came in the same month, so he kind of pushed it forward.
Which one do you think was the more successful of those two signings?
Well, obviously, Bruno's more successful, but what I'm saying is, when Ighalo arrived at the club, Bruno hadn't done what he'd done yet.
No.
And to have people around the club that were just in love with Manchester United, who had a feel-good factor about them, there wasn't that much of that at the club at the time. I think we were 6th in the league, and his mentality and his energy, and obviously Bruno's performances on the pitch, but he was a nice part of that, and he was one of the few nice things about watching Manchester United at that time. And you know, I'm really happy that he came, and I think he helped us out. And I wish we could have won the Europa League, and I wish he could have maybe played a few more games for us, because I think that would have been a perfect sort of culmination of his time at United. But yeah, I think looking back, it's easy to think, well, United are doing well, we don't need Ighalo. Well, we weren't doing well then. We did need someone. And for the short-term, sort of last-minute panic buy, he's about as good as you're ever going to get. So, yeah, thank you to Odin Ighalo. And, you know, it's a shame he has to go back to earning 350 grand a week in China, isn't it? So, you know, we don't need to feel too sorry for him. But, yeah, happy for Odin Ighalo.
Yeah, and let's face facts, you know, whilst he wasn't prolific or even irregular or anything like that, scored some goals in the cups. That one against Lask in particular stands out, and had his hand in that goal for the one that sealed the victory against City the last time we were all at Old Trafford. You remember, it was him that helped win the ball back to give it to Scott McTominay to get the goals as well.
Yes.
So there was moments, and he was, like you say, he came in and gave us all a bit of a lift when we needed one as well, because when he came here, we weren't sitting on top of the Premier League on, you know, record-breaking runs or anything like that. It was a pretty low ebb.
The only runs we had at that time were coming out of our arse with nerves, weren't they? So we didn't have too much to look forward to at that time. We've got a super chat from Kimani W. He said, "Sup from stateside brackets, Louisiana." I've got family that lives in Louisiana.
That's where Brittany's from.
Is it?
Britney Spears, yeah.
Oh,
Just
not
to
the other
clarify.
Britney.
Yeah.
Fucking Brittany Murphy. Became a Man United fan like a year ago, and you guys in late 2020. How would a Willie Zaha return be received if United went for him?
I like the way he's written that, very American. Sup, from stateside, how would Willie Zaha...
There's no doubt that man is from America, is there?
He's not from Salford, is it?
No.
I personally think Wilfried Zaha...
Willie Zaha.
Willie Zaha, sorry. I always felt a little bit sorry for him. I don't think his move was handled very well. Yeah. Fergie bought him, Moyes didn't want him. There was all those sort of rumours going around.
He's very much the adopted child in the new relationship, wasn't he, Zaha?
He was, and it didn't really work out for him. I don't think coming back to Old Trafford, A, I don't think it's on the cards, and B, I don't think he'd want it, or the club would really want it, and I don't think it'd work out. I think he's a player who's better suited to being a sort of a bigger fish in a small pond.
I agree, and I think he's had great seasons and he's looked really dangerous at times, and then I think in the last 18 months he hasn't been his best self either. So I think the time for United to sign him back, if there ever was one, probably isn't at the moment. But yeah, good comment.
Guys, do get involved in the comments as well. If you're not liking the video, hit like as well. You can see a few of you getting in there already speaking about Odin Ighalo. Ross Murphy says his best Ighalo moment was celebrating win over City. Yeah. I loved it when he celebrated as well, and he's very sneaky as that little.
And he did well. He did well in that game, and he, like you said, he set up that goal in a way. Right, go on. What's up next then, Jay? Come on, we've got loads to get through tonight. We've got loads to get
one
through.
Departure that's certain to another one that looks imminent, shall we say.
Yeah.
Jesse Lingard, who could be on his way to West Ham.
Yes.
Oh, is that West Ham? Yeah, it looks like he's heading to meet up with David Moyes, who's just taken them into the top 4.
Sorry to say, it's Moyes.
Sorry to say again, it's Moyes, yeah.
It is Moyes.
So they're interested
That's
in
what his
Jesse
agent said to me. We've got some interest, Jesse. Oh yeah, who is it? I'm sorry to say again, it's Moyes. Andy Tate, Jesse's agent there. But you say that, at this point, you aren't sorry to say again it's Moyes, because they're 4th. Above Liverpool in the league, West Ham. So, you know, there were talks last week, I'll read that quote in just a second. There was talks last week of him going to Sheffield United, essentially signing a 5-year deal, 4 of which are probably going to be in the Championship. Whereas now, he's going to a team that has been a sort of consistent taker of players maybe sort of falling down the footballing ladder a touch. They often go for players who've played for big teams now coming to West Ham, don't they?
Yes.
If you can mute that, that'd be absolutely great.
Thanks.
But now, West Ham doesn't feel like quite the slip down that it once did, because they're doing, I think they've had their best ever Premier League start at the moment. Like I said, they're 4th. They're above Liverpool in the league. They just beat Crystal Palace tonight. So the fact that Jesse Lingard may be moving to West Ham seems like twice the move it would, you know, a year or two ago. And BBC Sports saying here, West Ham are leading the race to sign England midfielder, just about, Jesse Lingard on loan from Manchester United. Lingard, 28, has been told a move away from Old Trafford will be sanctioned, given his struggle to break into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side this season. Now, is there part of you that thinks, why are we doing this as a loan deal? Not that I want to get rid of Jesse Lingard, not that, you know, I'm particularly sort of trying to show him the door by any means, but if we are letting him leave, a loan move for a 28-year-old seems a little bit sort of counterintuitive to me. Or do you just think it's, let him get some games, prove his worth, you might get an extra 5 or 10 million from him if he looks really good for West Ham?
Yeah, definitely the latter. I think that obviously it's with a view to a permanent move. It's got to be, because I don't see him going. Even if he goes to West Ham and does amazingly well, I don't think he then comes back to Old Trafford and forces his way into the Manchester United team.
No.
I think it's over for him at United. And I like Jesse Lingard. I think he's had a rough time of it the last 18 months. We know that he had some mental health issues. We know that his family situation changed. He had some loss in his life, and you know, obviously, he hasn't been getting a lot of games and he hasn't been performing at levels he was previously for a multitude of reasons, some of which I've just mentioned.
Yes.
He's still only 28. I still think he's got a lot to offer. As you've said, he goes to West Ham, who are doing really well. If he does well there, that can be a permanent move. And West Ham, you know, they're not anywhere near the same class as United, but they're still a big club. They're still an established Premier League team.
Yeah.
And they've still got some quality players there. And I think that is a move that could probably reinvigorate his career, getting back into that England team, because as you mentioned there, I know it says on the graphic England international, or England midfielder, but you know, that's like saying Phil Jones is an England defender. It's not really happened for him on the international scale for a little while now. So it makes a lot of sense. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, because I'm not sure what the situation is with his contract. He's on massive money, or whether that's been a bit of a sticking point. I think he didn't fancy Sheffield United, like you said, because you're almost doomed to go down with them. I think Newcastle are another one that we're looking at him as well, and then we know there was Nice over in France were involved, but they sort of stepped out of it. So yeah, makes a lot of sense to me, that one, and hopefully he can go there. And I think Jesse Lingard, he's had a lot of pelters recently, but I think he's that type of player that when he leaves, whether it's recently or soon or years from now, people will look back at him with fondness at United. People will go, scored in the League Cup final, scored a winner in the FA Cup final, played a lot of games for us, was involved in some big wins, you know, games at the Emirates in particular, where he got some important goals. Jesse did all right, you know, came through the ranks, went on loan quite a few times, and it was a good Manchester United player who you know, did a lot of important things for us. So I think history will be kind to Jesse Lingard, as they say. Yeah,
I definitely agree. And it's good. It bodes well for West Ham as well, because we know he doesn't get overawed by big occasions and big matches and big stadiums and all that sort of thing. He seems to turn up in those bigger games. So the more big games he has at West Ham, whether that's trying to fight for maybe a Europa League spot this season potentially, or whatever it may be, I don't think they're going to see someone who shies away and doesn't turn up in big games. So yeah, I think it's a good player for them. And I think it's probably the perfect level for him, isn't it, as well?
It'd be mint if they got top 4 and the Scousers didn't. That would be absolute lols. Should we move on to from one extreme to the other?
Extreme. Jesse Lingard, extreme.
To the new, because he's not a youngster anymore, is he, Jesse Lingard? People always accuse everyone of calling him a youngster. I don't think that's happened. One person who is young, though, Amad Diallo.
Oh, yes.
Now, there's this sort of lust for a Diallo debut. This craving.
There isn't all. Bloody hell.
That's just my phone.
Oh, is it?
In my pocket. Yeah, but loads of people are already...
iPhone Mini, is it?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I asked for that, didn't I?
Yeah.
There's this sort of craving to see Diallo make his debut, like, oh, he's amazing, oh, there's rumours going around that he's been great in training and that he's already set to come in and feature in the first team sort of sooner rather than later. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his press conference today was talking about it. He said that he's doing well, and he said the similar thing in the last press conference about how he's been doing well. It won't be too long, I feel, before I can bring him into the squad. Yeah. So he's playing his cards a little bit close to his chest. There was some footage, I think, of him in training that was posted on the official club socials. But it was one of those things where it looked good, but it's almost meaningless. Yeah, well, I think when you see a 10-second clip from training, you know, you see like, to be fair, I'm not saying United fans are doing this, but I've seen like, you know, fans who tweet out things and it's like a 4-second clip of someone in training saying, you wish your striker could do this. Yeah. And it's just a guy shooting the ball.
Pepe shooting.
Yeah, and you're like, well, most footballers can do that, to be fair. So you can't really tell too much from that. But we spoke to Romano a couple of weeks ago, who said he'd spoken to people at Atalanta who were raving about him, who said they were surprised Juventus or someone didn't come in for him. We've heard good things from Ole. It looks like he's doing well in training, but I don't know. I still think he's going to be used sparingly this season. I think he may get some games in the Europa and maybe the odd cameo in the Premier League, but I don't think we're going to see Amad Diallo sort of starting. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start any Premier League games this season, to be honest. I might be wrong, but
depending on how important each game becomes, like if we're 15 points clear, we might get a game, or if we're 12 points off the top, 12 points off top 4, off fifth, we might get a game. Yeah. But if we're fighting, closely for any particular position, I think we may struggle to see him get a game. The fact that he's talking about him coming into the squad, obviously he keeps getting asked about him, which is why he keeps
he's not just bringing it up off his own volition, is he? He's like,
and that quote and that video you said about him in training, where he just sort of cuts inside and passes it in the corner, like, I could do that. Not saying that I'm as good as Diallo, but
it's debatable.
The point, well,
I'm
not saying I am. I'm just
necessarily.
I'm also not saying I'm not. Yeah. That's the whole key point there. No, but what I mean is anyone who's ever played football can cut inside on their strong foot and pass it into the far corner. We obviously need to see a lot more than him. It's good to see any clips, and I think everyone knows that. No one's going, look at that clip, he's got to start. Yeah. Because Mason Greenwood, some are. But you know what I mean? Like, any footballer can do that. It's good to see clips of him. There's always an appetite to see a lot of clips of new signings, and I want to see more from him as well, whether that be training footage or him coming on. It's slightly annoying as well that because we've got West Ham in the FA Cup, he's probably not going to get a game in that as well. Like if you've got Luton or Cheltenham or whoever City tend to get Swansea in the FA Cup, he might well have had a run out, but he's not going to get a run out now unless we get maybe if we beat Real Sociedad and we have a smaller team in the next round of that. Like we've had consistently difficult ties in almost all of our cups and stuff this season, so we may not see him there either, but hopefully he will come. And I think, we've got to, like you said, temper your expectations a bit. But also, if he's good, then he'll play, won't he? So there's
Yeah.
you don't need to worry about it. It's not like Ollie's going to have a world-class player sat on the bench not playing. We know the way Ollie likes to do things. We know he likes to play young players. If he's very good, we'll see him. So you don't need to, you know what I mean? I don't need to worry too much. I've no doubt that he'll get a game if he's worth a game.
Oliver Edwards says, Joe, I've watched you play football. You can't do that.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, if you gave me a 2-hour training session, I could do that once.
We could get 7 seconds of good footage.
We could get 7 seconds. Like, yeah, of course you could.
Yeah.
That's anyone. I'm shit at football. I know I'm not very good at football, but I can occasionally pass the ball in the far corner. We can all do that.
Right, fair enough. If it was like...
I'm not saying if it was live training footage, you wouldn't go, fucking hell, he's good enough for United. But if you got one clip of me knocking the ball out, putting it in the far corner, you could go, my God, this guy can play. He can't. And that's actually my whole point. Joe, please do your Jay impression again. This one I'm talking about you eating avocado and finding out that there's avocado in guacamole yesterday. I'm not going to do it again.
Go on.
Go over to Adam McCullough's channel, because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
Go
over to Adam McCullough's channel,
yeah.
watch his most recent video with me and Jay, and where you discover Jay finding out that avocado is in guacamole.
I have no idea about that. I was fuming. My reputation is in tatters.
Tarnished. Right, what's up next?
Right, should we talk about a transfer that's destined to happen any day now?
Yeah.
Declan Rice to United. All right, maybe it's not. Right, bear with me here.
Don't rule it out. Fucking hell.
Because there's a little slight sort of, not merry-go-round, but we have to sort of unpick this lock a little bit.
Okay.
Because we have been linked with Declan Rice over the past sort of 18 months, maybe a bit longer. You remember Adam McCullough wasn't impressed and had Rio and everyone piling on him.
Yeah, and then now he likes Declan Rice.
McCullough questioned it and then was like, what players have West Ham produced recently? And then Rio Ferdinand saw it, retweeted it, and then there was a massive pile on. But United were linked with him. It looked like it had gone a bit cool. It looked like it wasn't going to happen. It looked like he was going to go to Chelsea. I think he was originally at Chelsea when he was a youngster anyway, when he was a kid. So they were the favourites to sign him. Frank Lampard was a huge fan of his, apparently. But now, obviously, Frank Lampard has been sacked. And what the stories are saying, Matt Law from Daily Telegraph did a story today, and he was saying that...
The same person who broke the Lampard sacked story,
yeah,
by the
so
way.
he's quite ITK.
Clued in.
Quite reliable. He says that West Ham are confident that Lampard's sacking will mark the end of Chelsea's Declan Rice pursuit. The interest was always pushed by Lampard and never received much encouragement from the club. Because we know sometimes at Chelsea, there's like the hierarchy that like players and sort of offer them to the manager, you know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
By this guy.
You're having this guy or you're having no one, sort of thing. Whereas Lampard very much wanted Declan Rice, he was sort of his target. He's gone. Chelsea aren't going to pursue that, so it looks like Declan Rice isn't going to Stamford Bridge anytime soon anyway. Where that should pave the way if United want Declan Rice for him to come to Old Trafford. Now, I think that actually, although a lot of people 18 months ago were looking at this going, Declan Rice United? No, he's not good enough. He's having a decent season, isn't he?
Yeah.
West Ham are fourth, as we've said, and he's a big part of that. He's played a lot of games for him. I think he's played every game for him this season in the Premier League. Or thereabouts. He's been playing very well. He's a youngster. He fits into that role of sort of a defensive midfielder who can play a bit more box-to-box at times. Yeah. So you think there's an opportunity there for him, perhaps at United, if we were to pursue him. What do you reckon to that, Joe? Do you reckon it will happen, and would you want to see it happen?
In terms of it happening, I think there's a chance if we want him.
I mean, we're talking in the summer, by the way, sorry.
We've been linked with him.
It's not happening in January.
No, we've been linked with him a lot in the past.
Yep.
And I think he's a good player, and I think he's a much improved player. And as we always say, or as I always say about that position in particular, the defensive midfield position is one of the positions that is hardest to quantify the quality of a player in that position. I think maybe the most difficult of all positions, because there are so many different ways of playing that role. Unless you're an all tackling, here's the stats on how many tackles I do per game kind of defensive midfielder, people can just say, oh, he's shit, what does he do? Oh, he ain't got that many passes, he ain't got that many tackles, he doesn't score, he's not that good in the air, he's not that fast, like, he must be shit then. Because statistically, it's one of the least rewarding positions on the pitch. Yeah. But I think he's a very good player, he's a very astute player who understands the game well, and he cuts things out, and his positioning is very good. And I think he's only got better at West Ham, and it's no surprise and no coincidence that West Ham, like you said, are doing so well this season. And I think he's a big part of that. I really like him. I think he'd be really good at United. I think he's not as good on the ball as Matic, so I don't think we should be expecting that. But he's more like a Matic, where positionally he's excellent. He's grown up and he's been a defensive midfielder for a while, whereas we've got other players who are sort of being tried to brought into that position and don't quite have the position and the positional sense that he does. I think he'd be excellent, and I would have him. And the fact that Chelsea aren't going for him, assuming he wants a move, that to me puts United near the top of the list, especially if we want him, like there have been rumours saying that we do, and there have been relatively reliable reports in the past that we do want him. So I'd be well up for having Declan Rice. I think he'd improve our midfield. I think he would be a great way to have Pogba and Bruno in the same team, although if he comes in summer, you may not have to worry about fitting Pogba into any team. But I just think it allows us to play more creative players. Him and Van der Beek, or him, Van der Beek and Bruno in a midfield, I think would look excellent, and it would add another option as well in midfield. I'd definitely take him.
Good stuff. Just looking at some of the comments, a little bit divided on Declan Rice, and I think that's indicative in the comments of what's going on with a lot of United fans at the minute. Whenever we see comments or tweets or whatever, or speak to fans about Declan Rice, seems to be that, you know, some people rate him, some people are warming to him, others think he's not worth the money because you probably would have to pay the old English player premium. Henry Whittaker says Declan Rice is the sort of player you need to watch live to understand.
Yes.
Cuts passing lanes fantastically and closes down players better than any United player. His passing has come on massively. Jacob O.C. says Ruben Neves would be a better option, I think he says.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost that. Rice's game is more suited to back foot football, he says. United Forever podcast says if Rice is purchased to be a squad player, it would make more sense to sign Loftus-Cheek for thrice the discount.
I don't think he would be being purchased to be a squad player. If you want to buy Declan Rice, you're paying 60 million for him. Do
you reckon that's what the
I think you'd struggle. I would say the least you're paying is 50. I can't imagine. You know, they're going to.
I agree.
Don't need to sell him.
I agree. It's minimum of 50.
Yeah.
I think I'm worried it could be, you know, silly money because once he's been in England team and he's played for England. I think he's 22, is he? Something like that.
He's very old.
He's young. And then obviously you've got the fact that he's had a good season at a club like West Ham, who are a selling club, but are one of those funny clubs where you can get players off him, but they don't just give him you.
No.
You know, West Ham have got a little bit of money, so you know they're a little bit like Leicester in the sense that you can get the players off him, but you have to pay for him and you have to pay decent money, especially for someone like Declan Rice, who's probably their biggest asset, isn't he, to sell. So if they are going to sell him, they're not going to let him go for 30 or 40 mil.
No, they want
have
50, 60.
But I think rather than giving him 60 mil, we give him 20 mil and Jesse. Everyone's a winner.
Everyone's happy with that, aren't they?
Yeah.
No one's questioning that one. Nicholas Boyle with the super chat. If you could only buy for one position in the summer, and who would you buy?
The position?
Yeah.
I'd probably go CDM.
Oh,
as
CDM.
the kids say. Yeah.
Who are you getting?
You know who I want?
Thomas Partey.
Yeah, why not? Arsenal are rubbish.
Arsenal. Yeah,
but the rubbish.
The shite.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's sat there in the Emirates going, you know, I don't come in here to this absolute shower of shite. United come in. We've always bought players off Arsenal when we wanted them anyway.
Yeah.
That's not going to stop us now.
No.
Especially when we're Premier League champions in the summer. Buy him. Partey comes in.
Partey calls.
Final piece of the jigsaw. Next season, we need Champions League.
Perfect.
So Matt Wheel. Go on, who would you say?
It's a toss-up. But now we've got Cavani on a 2-year deal. I'll get Sancho this summer, Haaland the year after. Oh. That's what I'll go for. If I get one, it'd be Sancho. Because you see, when Rashford's out on the right, he's not the same player as he is when he's playing on the left-hand side. No. And I think Rashford on the left, Sancho on the right, and then either Martial or Cavani up front, depending on who's on form, who we're playing, what style suits what. But I think that's a sensational front four. Sensational.
I am struggling to argue with that. Thanks, Nicholas Boyle, for your super chat. We've got another one as well. Prince Varugis says, get Rice and Grealish. We are winning the league.
Let's get Rice and Grealish. We're winning the league. It's like, he's like, get mum and dad. We're going on holiday. It's like, get Rice and Grealish. We're winning the league. Quick, grab him. Grab him. Tell him we're winning the league. Oh, you mean sign him? Oh,
yeah,
I get it. I get it.
I think.
Sorry for shouting.
Oh yeah, Pinch Weasel says, Jay, let's not forget we gave them Silvestri. I was that excited with that comment. I couldn't get my words out.
They always won, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, we cashed in on the Silvestri one by getting Van Persie, didn't we? So we've got to give them someone else. Welbeck, sorted. They always won.
But mate, we gave them the greatest footballer.
They always Partey and Leno for that.
Exactly. Yeah. They had Danny Welbeck, one of Premier League's greatest ever strikers.
More like Danny Welbeck.
And we took Sanchez off him and gave him Mkhitaryan. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they didn't even take him to the Europa League final, but let's not get into that. Right, what we talking about next?
Oh, we've got loads to talk about next.
Let's talk about Pellistri.
Okay, go on
Facundo, not Facundo.
Oh, sorry.
Facundo, as someone corrected me the other day because I kept saying Facundo, so apologies to all concerned. There's talk of a loan move, which is this a little bit surprising because
For me,
he's been playing a lot for the under-23. He's been doing quite well.
We've only just got him.
Yeah, people were going, Europa League, we're going to play the Resis for that. He'll play in that competition. Maybe stays the under-23s, maybe gets your substitute appearance in the Premier League. And now it seems like there could be a loan move on the horizon.
Yes.
Does that make any sense to you? Is that something you'd be open to? Or do you think we should keep him here and let him sort of get in it? But just before you answer that, sorry, the reason why this is sort of doing the rounds is Ollie addressed this in his press conference. Yeah. And he said a few clubs interested in Pellistri. Might be something we let him do now. He's had a few games for the reserves because we want him to have regular football. So it's not just, paper talk. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has more or less said, yeah, if this could happen.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised because I hoped, and again, not because the expectation should be that he's playing for the first team. He's a young lad who's come from South America, and he's going to have to fight his way into the team, and he's going to have to improve, and he's going to have to get better to do that. But
yeah,
it is basically an admittal that he ain't going to be playing the first team this season.
No.
Almost certainly, unless there are huge injuries or huge improvements from Pellistri, he isn't good enough to play for us right now, which he may never be good enough to play for us. I was hopeful that it may not be quite as certain so early on that he isn't good enough to play for us right now. But obviously that's not the case. So if he isn't good enough and they want him to get game time, then loan him out. I think that's more than fair. He's a young lad, plenty of time to improve. We don't need to worry about his career being over just because he gets loaned out once or twice. So yeah, if they want him to get some game time, again, Ollie's essentially admitting he's not going to be playing for the first team anytime soon. It sounds like the smart move to me. Yeah,
it's one of them with Pellistri because he scored a bit of a banger, didn't he, in the under-23s. I think it was against City, and everyone was like, oh, look at him. This is it. Get him in that first team. But clips don't really tell you anything, especially at that level. And the under-23s, it's such a mixed bag that some of those games, they're not at the levels that you want your youngsters to be playing at. They're really not. And I think that if he isn't going to be featuring for the first team this season, even if he's only beginning of getting like 1 or 2 games or whatever in the Europa, then maybe he's better off going on loan because he's come to United, he's had this big move, and then the last thing you want him to do is just be playing reserve football under 23s. You need to keep moving forward as a footballer. So a low move kind of makes sense for me. He looks like he's an exciting player. We're hearing good things about him. He's obviously got his head screwed on. So goes away, does well, comes back next season and maybe can play a bit of a part there. I wouldn't mind that at all, to be honest with you. And I think that kind of makes sense, even though some people may be a little bit surprised because we only just got him.
Should we talk a little bit before we move on about the current news that's going on the Coppa Italia quarter-final?
Yes.
Featuring 2 former Manchester United stars, Romelu Lukaku and the ghost of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who I assume died at some point in the early 2000s and has come back as some immortal ghost, which is why he's playing so well. Zlatan scored the first goal and got sent off.
As you do.
Post-red card, Lukaku had scored and equalised for Inter. But we saw a bit of a back and forth between Lukaku and Zlatan, didn't we? Some rather choice words. I've only seen the Lukaku side. People talking about the Zlatan side, some of the things he may have said, and I don't know, I haven't seen any confirmation on that.
There's been accusations that he may have said something he shouldn't have said. I don't want to, well, it's only on social media, and I don't want to say that because I don't know, I haven't heard it. Some people say it may be racially motivated. I don't know if he has said anything, so I'm not saying that at all because I've got zero evidence for that, other than a few tweets I've seen. I've seen the clips. The only clips I have seen are of Lukaku shouting towards Zlatan Ibrahimovic about having sex with him and his wife. But not in the nice sort of, I'd like to have sex with you and your wife if you fancy it. Like,
put your keys in the bowl. Not that kind of way. It's put your,
Yeah, he said it rather,
Aggressively,
not very nice. So, no love lost between the 2 former United teammates because they did actually, their paths did cross at Old Trafford. It's all kicked off there. Zlatan's obviously seen red. Lukaku absolutely fuming.
You would hope there isn't anything racially motivated said by Zlatan, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, some people are saying it was about, you called him a little donkey, which isn't racially motivated.
I was going to say that.
That's got nothing to do with racism. No. But then I saw some comments saying it's something else. Again, I don't want to say that because I haven't seen it.
I saw those comments and I didn't know if little donkey was a racial slur that I wasn't aware of.
Right, I saw...
Because in my head, that's used for players who have got a bad touch and are a bit sort of heavy, but not necessarily, a particular race.
Well, yeah, you always say, oh, he's a right donkey, don't you, about someone who's not very good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's all gone off anyway. And that's something that someone can pick the bones of and work out what's been said to whom.
You would hope for the sake of, well, I mean, Zlatan's a 39-year-old man who you would hope isn't stupid enough or thick enough or malicious enough to have said something racially motivated, especially to someone who he's a teammate with and supposedly you would hope maybe a friend of. So, yeah, we'll...
Yeah, there's I don't want to repeat the tweets because he's not been, I'm not clear. Some people saying that there was certain comments made that were racially motivated. Yeah. Others just saying it was just insults and then they've just kicked off because they're two alpha males. But we'll wait and see what happens with that.
Yeah. Sort of the leaders of both of their respective teams, aren't they? And former teammates. And Zlatan sort of kind of pushed Lukaku out onto the wing a little bit, didn't he, when he came back?
Remember that? He came on, I remember, is it the Crystal Palace game?
Yeah.
Where Zlatan came on. And I can't remember which game it was. It might have been Palace, I might be getting it mixed up. But Lukaku, who was our third or second most expensive signing ever, I think he was.
Yeah.
Was playing as a striker, had scored 15 goals this season. And Zlatan comes on and he's shifted out to... Lukaku's shifted out to the wing so Zlatan can, stay in the middle. And it just, it sort of indicated how... Also, as well, I felt a little bit sorry for him then, Lukaku. It was like Jose saying, Zlatan's still the main
top
man.
Dog.
And he wasn't at that time because, his second season, people almost forget he had 2 seasons at United.
Yeah.
Because his second one was almost a non-event, wasn't it?
Yep.
In the Super Chat, Podge Benson says, Jay, the 91 Cup Winners' Cup season was destined to end in glory. As the greatest baller in association football, Danny Welbeck was born that season. See, nothing but facts. Everything Podge Benson has said in that is factual.
Yeah, I'm reading it back again. Fact. Can't argue with any of that.
Benson. I should be paying you for that Super Chat, by the way.
Yeah.
Should we move on to something other than red cards in Milan?
Yes.
Let's talk about the second greatest striker to ever play for Manchester United, Marcus Rashford. Rashford's knee scan. He's had a scan on his knee because he had a bit of a hurting knee.
He came off, didn't he, against Liverpool the other day?
Fabinho on it, shoving him about.
Yeah, it looked like it may well have been there.
Yeah.
And then Ole came out after the game and said, he's feeling something in his knee, we'll get him scanned tomorrow, which, as we all know and we talked about in the review for that game, I'm sure some of you will have seen that video, a knee can be anywhere from, let's face it, 3 weeks to 12 months.
Yeah.
So any sort of knee injury generally isn't a good thing. But it seems as though Ole here says that Marcus is available. He trained this morning. He said that he's available for selection. He's tweaked his knee a little bit, but trained fully this morning, so it's a good place to be. So he said as well about it isn't a serious injury, it's just some bruising apparently, which is obviously about as good as you can hope for with a knee. And with the return to form that we saw from Rashford, he had a week, 1 week off, and then he come back and looked brilliant against Liverpool. That's all he needed. Just don't play him every single game. Just play him 9 games, let him have 1 game off, and then play him 9 games again, and he's fine. You just got to let him rest a little bit. But it's great that he's not injured because, and I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again, and I'm sure I'll say it again before the end of the season, injuries are going to be an absolutely crucial part of who wins the title this season.
Yeah.
Especially if United want to win it. We can't afford to have injuries to big players. It's a tighter season anyway, a shorter season anyway. So the option to rotate and change lineups on the fly and game by game will be so crucial in terms of keeping up that energy to go the whole 38 games as top of the table. So I'm really happy, first of all, from a first team perspective that Rashford isn't injured, but also from the ability to rotate and give him a rest and then give the person who's giving him a rest as well. It's massive that we keep everyone as fit as we possibly can, and obviously he's one of our best players, so perfect.
Yeah, because the big worry for me with Marcus Rashford, as you've sort of touched on it there, is about, giving him a rest. It's not even the fact that we're playing when he's tired, we're playing when he's injured. The amount of times Ole loves Marcus Rashford. Don't get any mistake about it. Since Ole's come in, Marcus Rashford's pretty much played every game, and he's like his guy. And we saw it in Ole's first season where Marcus had injuries. He had a shoulder injury, he picked up in the derby, played the next game against Chelsea and went off with a shoulder injury. He was hobbling about against Liverpool where he couldn't get subbed because we needed our subs. I think he played not long after that. He's had ankle injuries and he's carried on playing. Shoulder injury again in the Champions League, I think against PSG. He was carrying a knock and he played. Marcus will always play for Manchester United Football Club. He's like one of us. He's just a massive fan who wants to do his best for the team and will always try and play. Sometimes he needs protecting from himself and he needs a manager who's going to say, listen, I know you want to play, I know you're technically fit enough, but you could do with a bit of a breather and let your injury heal properly. This doesn't look serious, but even if there was a little whiff, I hope that Ole would take him out the firing line because we need Marcus firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, just because he's available doesn't mean he has to be played.
No, you talked about how his best performance, or one of his back to his best, against the Scousers.
Yeah, exactly, and it's important that we keep him as close to his best as possible for as long as we can. You see City, I think, are winning 5-0 at the minute as well. So
how long's left in that game?
Fucking too long.
Well, West Brom need to be careful there, as he could be out of this game.
Yeah, exactly. A couple more goals, and they'll struggle.
Next goal's crucial in that one.
Struggle. But yeah, with City looking the way they are at the minute, and the fact that they started off from this defensive basis of not conceding any goals, and now they're scoring tons of goals, we have to watch out and not get sort of swept away by them, because the next 10 games, if we're not careful and they're on the sort of form that they can be on, they might be out of sight. So keeping Rashford fit will be crucial to that. Ross Murphy with the Super Chat says, my thoughts on Declan Rice, he's a decent player, but not who I would want. I'd like Ruben Neves. With Wolves struggling, I think you can get him, or we could convince Partey to come to a better club. I like Neves. Partey would be the one out of the two for me that I prefer, and obviously we know that Jay would prefer him as well. What are we talking about next, Jay?
What we are talking about, my friend, is Deo UPAMECANO.
Oh, good.
What are you going to say? Oh, good grief there. You look like you were quite despondent about
I like him. I do like
talking about RB Leipzig's numero uno centre-back. United versus Liverpool for UPAMECANO. So the Scousers are in for him as well. Unless you've been living under a rock somewhere for the last sort of year, you'll know that Manchester United have been heavily linked with Deo UPAMECANO. Apparently, Ollie wanted him in the summer. That obviously didn't happen. The sort of the theory or the rumours or the stories doing the rounds now are that we're going to go again for him next summer. But we're going to have to go head-to-head with Liverpool. As you can see there in the graphic, it says United will go head-to-head with Liverpool for RB Leipzig. Brilliant young defender. Leipzig are not considering selling their centre-backs this month, even though he can leave in the summer, for a cut price, 37.4 million quid, or that's 42 million euros, if you're that way inclined. What do you reckon to this?
Someone's signing him. If he's available for 37 million, someone is going to sign him.
Do you want him?
Yes.
I
do want him.
Even if it meant going into a bit of a bidding war with the Scousers?
Well, I mean...
Should we go all out for him? Is he that, you know what I mean?
Seemingly there won't be a bidding war for him, because you pay the fee, the club have to accept, and then it's up to him where he goes.
Right, okay.
So maybe it'll be a contractual bidding war. We'll give you 120, we'll give you 150, 180. We may see a bit of that. But for £37.4 million, if that is true, which Sky Sports, generally, they're usually correct on things like facts and figures of release clauses. You wouldn't expect them to be getting that one wrong. Then someone will buy him. And do United need a centre-back? I would say so. We've seen, and as much as I hate to say this, part of me sees what Eric Bailly has done as almost a sort of litmus test for the fact that we need a centre-back like Eric Bailly. And potentially it's a little bit cruel for me to say that Eric Bailly isn't that centre-back, but I still am wary to say that we can trust Eric Bailly physically. And you can say, right, it's Harry Maguire, obviously, because he plays every game, and I personally think he's our best centre-back. And then it's Eric Bailly, because, well, in 2 months' time, 1 month's time, 6 months' time, he's going to be out for who knows how long. And for me, Eric Bailly needs to stay fit for a year before we can say you're the first choice next to for that right-hand side position. So until then, I think Eric Bailly has shown us we need someone who's quick, we need someone who's decisive, we need someone who's very aggressive in their decision-making, and we need someone who can cover for Harry Maguire's weaknesses, which generally is his pace and sometimes his transitions when the ball is being played through, because he just isn't that quick. But, again, UPAMECANO seems to tick a lot of those boxes whilst not being as unreliable physically as Eric Bailly. And I'm not trying to get rid of Eric Bailly. I think he's excellent, and I would love it if he could prove himself to be fit enough to be the guy we rely on. But I still don't feel confident saying we can rely on Eric Bailly. But, you know, you see what it's like when Lindelof plays there, who I think has also been pretty good recently. But then you see what it's like when an informed Eric Bailly plays there, and that is the sort of player we need. And I think UPAMECANO is more along those lines. He's much quicker than Lindelof. He's more decisive than Lindelof. He makes mistakes sometimes, but I think that comes from him being so aggressive and decisive. And I think he's the sort of player we need. And if he's available for that price, like I said, someone's going to buy him. So if he's the right guy for United, we should definitely go for him at that price.
Yeah, I mean, I like UPAMECANO, and I think he's obviously, you know, he's coveted by so many clubs, not just United and Liverpool, for a reason. He's obviously an excellent defender. I don't know, man. Someone in the comments here, Cult of Ollie, has put, Tuanzebe is brilliant. He's the best centre-back we have. I don't understand why he's not playing. I think he's healthy. I just think he's not quite sort of established enough or forced his way into the team the way he should have done. And perhaps last season it was a bit of a missed opportunity for him with all the injuries that he had. It wasn't his fault, obviously, but I don't think he's been able then to do it because Lindelof's been playing
how long has it taken
and Eric Bailly's
to even get back in?
Exactly. You know, I don't know with UPAMECANO. It's a weird one because if we signed UPAMECANO in the summer, I'd be buzzing, right? I would be. But if we didn't, I wouldn't be gutted.
No.
Because I still think that, I know there's lots of ifs and buts and maybe, that Suan Zabi, I still rate him.
Me too.
I think Vince Lindelof gets a lot of stick that's unwarranted.
Yep.
And Eric Bailly, I know we've been saying this for about 4 years, but if we can somehow manage him correctly, which Ollie's been doing a decent job of over the last couple of months, then maybe we have got a centre-back we can rely on there. So, and like you said, Harry Maguire's not going anywhere, and rightly so. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's another one who gets a load of stick for nothing. So it's one of those that you're always going to welcome a player like UPAMECANO coming to your club because he's so good. But I think we've got options in defence. The only main issue we've got is we can't get a regular centre-back pairing to play week in, week out who establish themselves. And you've seen the difficulty that Liverpool have had there with the injuries. So maybe they'll be a bit more keen than we are on something like that because they've been playing Children and Fabinho at centre-back, haven't they?
Reece Williams made that mistake against United for Ollie's goal, and they need someone in there who's going to be... For Rashford, what did I say?
Ollie's goal.
I don't know. It felt like
I know it was in
every
1999.
Technically,
that fourth round,
exactly.
Reece Williams. I don't care if you weren't born. You should have stopped it.
Yeah. No, he was at fault for Rashford's goal. And as you said before, and I agree, I think Matip's a decent defender. I think Joe Gomez is a decent defender. Yeah. I think they all look much better next to Van Dijk. And personally, I think that even if everyone was fit, they could still do with another centre back. So I do expect them to go for it, especially because. As good as Fabinho is at centre-back, they miss him in the midfield, I think, as well, especially in certain games.
No, you're right, and Fabinho is very good at centre-back, but it's a little bit like Fernandinho when he went to, he goes into City's defence. There's,
Eriksen free kick in the 96th.
Eriksen.
Christian Eriksen.
Sony Eriksen.
Yes.
The much forgotten Sony Eriksen has scored a 96th minute free kick in the Coppa Italia there, set to Inter to beat AC Milan 2-1. So there's the finale to that story we were bringing you before.
And all the headlines tomorrow will be about Romelu Lukaku and Zlatan kicking off. Poor Eriksen. He scores a 96th minute winner and he doesn't even get the glory. It's a bit like Jesse in the FA Cup final, isn't it?
Yeah,
Don't you think?
I think he did get the glory though.
No, he didn't.
Oh.
Because we sacked Louis van Gaal that afternoon and then we appointed Jose the next morning, so how did he get the glory, Joe? How did that happen? Stop being thick. I'm only joking, sorry. Didn't mean to shout you. I've been homeschooling this morning, Joe. I'm a broken man.
What's the next story?
Oh no. Jamal Musiala. We're going to talk about him.
YouTube presenter accused of creating a toxic work environment. You and Stephen walking out with handcuffs behind your back. Unbelievable.
Do not put me in the same bracket as Stephen Elson, surely. Jamal Musiala, if I pronounced that right, forgive me, son, if I've butchered your name. He's been linked with United. He's at Bayern Munich, wants to come to a big club. Yeah. United are like, yes, please. Decent midfielder from what we know. I think he's a midfielder. I better double check that. Was at Chelsea, as every young player in the history
at Chelsea.
Of football
I'm at Chelsea.
Has been. But, right, let me see if I get this right. He's born in Germany.
Go on.
Went to England. I think he lived in Croydon for a bit.
Good lad.
Was training at Chelsea. Was in the Chelsea sort of kids team.
Chelsea kids team like it's Haven. I'm going to go to the kids play pool. Everyone from 4 to 14's in there.
Come on,
like
Jamal.
18 different age groups. I mean, Chelsea kids team. You know, the Chelsea under 16.
That's why he looked so good. He was 14 playing against 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
he looked
the kids team. They're just one team.
Bayern Munich were like, we'll have him.
Yeah,
scored 80 goals this season. But he's doing bits at Bayern Munich. But he hadn't signed a new deal. Apparently he wanted 100k a week, and Bayern Munich were like, mate, come on, that's not happening. So his agent, I think, was causing not a bit of mischief, but was saying, all right, then if you don't want to give him the dough, we'll take him elsewhere. And United were one of the clubs being linked with him, but as you can see from the graphic, I get it, because you have to sort of use these sort of words, but it's maybe a bit of an exaggeration to say Liverpool United have suffered a transfer blow. Are you all right, Joe? I know you've been a bit beside yourself with this, haven't you?
I've suffered such a transfer blow, Jay.
He's been in bits all day. Keeps bursting into tears.
You said you wouldn't bring this up tonight.
I'm sorry, we have to, mate.
You bastard. You political bastard. Bringing this up. Fucking hell. Look at this. The fuck, man.
Do you know, one day in about 10 years, Jamal, I forgot his name now, Jamal Musiala is going to score a goal against us and this video is going to be drug out.
Sickening. We've got another super chat. Terence Kirky said he put in a super chat before. Why don't United just get a defender on loan? It makes sense. There should be some decent players on loan.
Sorry, Terence Kirk. I'm just seeing the super chat there. I apologise. But do read them out when you.
I don't think we're desperate enough for a defender to be getting someone on loan. Like usually, a loan for a big club is either because a player will be joining in the summer, or because you're desperate. And I don't think we are going to get anyone that's going to be joining in the summer, like UPAMECANO. We wouldn't get him on loan. And I don't think we're actually desperate for defenders. I just think that in the instance that someone becomes available that we'd like, we should sign them, and we probably will be signing a centre-back if one does become available. I just don't think a loan necessarily suits how United need players at the moment. We've got a super chat from Brian Kevill. He says, sorry lads, I think UPAMECANO is a must. We need a reliable central defensive partnership. UPAMECANO and Sancho and Russell Beardsmore.
Russell Beardsmore, man. I always feel a little bit sorry for Russell Beardsmore because he was like the first youth player that came through under Fergie.
Yeah.
And like there was a time I think he scored against the Scousers. He had a decent start, and then it all went horribly wrong. And then we had better youth players coming through, the likes of Giggs and Mark Robbins and players like that. Who Mark Robbins obviously didn't have an illustrious career, but when he came through, he was doing very well. And Russell Beardsmore is almost like a figure of fun now. And I saw him once in an interview, and he said, I played 45 times for United. I might not have played very well, but I played 45 times for him.
45 times? That's not bad at all, is it?
Like, he's like one that broke the mould. He was like the first of Fergie's fledglings. But Brian Kelvin makes a decent point about why he thinks UPAMECANO is a must. I can sort of, like I said, I can understand it. I see, both sides. I'm just not as, we've got to get him as others. But, like you say, you wouldn't be gutted if he came in. And Sancho, well, we know all about Jadon Sancho, don't we? And the sort of the rumblings on that just never go away there.
Yeah.
But are you okay to move on from Jamal?
Yeah, just the faster we move on, the better.
Should we talk about Marcus Rojo?
Yeah, go on.
Just go on then, cheer you up. Yeah. Rojo finally leaving. Now, talking about sagas, this one's been doing the rounds, hasn't it, for the last year. He was going to go out, he went out on loan, then that was going to be permanent, then it wasn't. Then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer acted like he was his long-lost cousin or something the other day. He's like, I've not seen him for a bit. Yeah,
where is he?
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
Shit, he still plays for us.
Yeah.
We're spending 150 grand a week on him.
Yeah, he went over to Argentina for a bit, and then I think he might come back. It might be his house, I don't know. Give him a bell.
He likes travelling.
Yeah, that's what he was. So I was like, hang on a minute.
Oh, Marcus, I ain't seen him in ages. Like you said, like he's just the uncle, the vagabond uncle.
It's like, it's funny that he pops up on my Facebook the other day, and I kept meaning to
message him, asking him if he's got that 4 million quid he owes me, that I've been paying him every single month for the last 2 years. Marcus Rojo, I like him, and he's a bit of a bastard, and we all know why we like him. We don't even need to go into it. How is he still getting paid by Manchester United? It says, Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed the club are looking to offload defender Marcus Rojo. Boca Juniors remain in talks, but Rojo still has a deal to be agreed. Insane. Absolutely insane that he's still at Manchester United. Even more so than Phil Jones, because at least Phil Jones has the dignity, nay, the politeness to stay in the fucking country that we play football in. Marcus Rojo hasn't even been in England for a year, which I kind of respect the audacity of it, to be honest. Coming and just moving home. He's like, oh, where are you? We pay 150 grand or 100 grand a week to play football for us. Yeah, I've just gone home. Didn't anyone tell you? Oh, I told Phil to tell you. Oh, yeah, he didn't tell us. Oh, right, well, yeah, I told Phil Jones anyway. I said, will you tell him I've gone home? Yeah. I don't want to stay, really. All right, okay, thank you, bye. What do you mean he's in Argentina?
Why didn't he text? He knows the rules. If you're not coming in at work, you text before 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
unacceptable.
Let alone a whole year of not playing for the team that's paying him £100,000 a week. It might not be on that much, but it's on more than we're on a year.
It's weird with Marcus
5 years,
isn't it? Because,
10 years.
Like, do you remember when we got him? And he was like, he had a court case hanging over him for allegedly smashing his neighbour's head in with a bottle or something. Do you remember? We didn't realise that when we signed him. And it was like someone in the office at Old Trafford or at Carrington went, oh, that player we've just bought, waiting for his work permit to come through. He's in court next month for violent assault. I'm like, all right, what's going to happen there? Anyway, that case went away. He came over. He's had some decent games for us. I mean, it's amazing to me he's never had a red card, because some of his challenges have been absolutely...
He's had a red card in our heart, and that's all that matters. Has anyone ever been more of a red card in our heart than Marcus Rojo?
But you can't help but like the guy. There's something about him. He's good box office, isn't he? He's just an entertaining type of player who gets stuck in. Was it because Colchester where he was trying tricks and Rabonas and all that, wasn't he? Do you remember?
His finest hour, wasn't it, against the mighty Colchester? That's the thing about
shooting with his weaker foot from the halfway line and stuff like that.
According to the internet, he's on 80 grand a week. So
is that all?
That's
in
it.
that case,
sorry for saying 100.
Don't bother coming into work then, son.
You stay home. Do you know what you've done? You've worked bloody hard for 2 years. You can have 2 years off. Go on.
Exactly.
Go on.
Do you know what? Don't bother texting in.
Don't say we don't do anything for you, Marcus.
Do what you've got to do, son.
Yeah, I like him, but I think as soon as we can get a deal for him, it just makes sense.
I feel like as well,
he doesn't play for Man United anymore.
We've got to stop like the banter era of Manchester United.
Yes.
Do you know, like we've done all that, haven't we? We're like, we don't know where he is. He's on a load of money. Oh, what? Yeah, he's still on the books. Phil Jones due a testimonial this year.
Is he just a funny gift?
Yeah. Oh no, he's gone off. I don't know about him. No, we need to stop that and start acting like a proper football club again. So yes, someone's put a. You can see.
You either need to get that on the screen or you can't.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you could. We've got someone in the super chats. Podge Benson says he makes lovely toast, and hopefully you'll be able to see that as well. There's a picture.
Should be able to get it in just a sec.
We'll be able to get it in just a sec because people are going, "What are you on about?" Marcus Rojo makes lovely toast. Well, we're about to show you because we were saying like Ighalo's Instagram is hilarious. Yeah. Marcus Rojo's probably not so much.
Probably not quite as hilarious, but here you go. Look at this picture here. That's the sort of toast that Marcus Rojo makes for his presumably there's more than just a hand attached to that hand there. So
that's
his friend,
absolutely
his girlfriend,
disgraceful.
I mean, what is that? That's not toast, is it? Oh, do you know what I'd love? Do you know what I'd love? A nice bit of tea and a big fucking plate full of carbon. Can you get us one, Jay? Get us a nice carbon and just 2 knives. No obvious butter or spreadable anything on there. Just a tray, plate, carbon, please.
If you got to send that in prison, you'd send it back. What is that about? That's disgraceful. Why is he taking a picture of it and posting it on social media? Just like it's some sort of gourmet meal. Look at this.
Wake up, couple of slices of coal and back to sleep. Fucking coal. Absolutely ridiculous.
Coal?
Coal. I'll have
Dave Chappelle. Coal?
I'll have the full English and just 2 slices of coal and butter, please. Actually, instead of butter, have you got just fire lighters I can rub on it instead? That is coal. Get rid of that picture. It's making me feel ill. Thank God for that.
Do you know what? Just on that picture alone, Marcus, I'm sorry. It's time to go, son.
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
2 knives as well. His and hers knives. That means there's
What is going on there?
there's 2 people in the world who like their toast cut like that. Cooked with a fucking blowtorch for an hour.
That's
not toast.
That's proper like you've had a row tackle.
Yeah.
That's like, I'll make your fucking breakfast for you. There
Oi,
you go.
Here's your
There's
breakfast.
Your fucking toast.
Smash.
Yeah, eat that.
Look, there you go.
That's not like normal, happy, let's take a picture breakfast.
No,
I'm not into that. Shall we move on?
Yes.
to happier stories than Marcus Rojo's toast. Manchester United's revenue's down.
Oh, wicked.
As you can see from the graphic, Man United's largest revenue decrease. Apparently, there's this thing called the pandemic going around, and it's affected our revenue, and now it's decreased by the biggest margin ever.
Do you know I know there's a pandemic going around?
Because we're socially distancing.
Yes, because we're stood in a little box that is over a certain distance apart from each other, so we can't sneeze and that. That's how I know there's a pandemic. It's very annoying and upsetting, and you can't see your family, and you can't touch anyone, and you're not allowed to kiss or go to a pub.
You know I know we're in a pandemic?
Why?
Because United are top of the league. We're beating the Scousers. Can't go and watch that.
Second in the league, but yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Is it finished now, sir?
Well,
7 minutes was not official then.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so at the moment, we are top of the league, and I'm going to milk every minute out of it.
You are.
Okay? So, as I'm speaking, we're top of the league. You're so gross. You're so juvenile, John. 40 years old.
Carry on.
You dragged me down to your level. Yeah. As I was saying, I know in the pandemic, I've not been able to see any of this football, not been able to go and watch them. But regardless of that, we have had a revenue drop. The thing with this is, because the Glazers is fucking parasitic and take so much money out of the club, I almost get immune to these stories where it's like, oh, the revenue's down. I think, well, is that just their profits are down then?
Yeah,
their dividends down. Well, no, actually, because they keep taking the dividend. It's almost like it doesn't have the same sort of meaning as perhaps it should.
It says that United's largest revenue decrease. That doesn't mean we've lost money. It just means we haven't quite made as much money.
Yeah.
So, like you said, the owners get to take a little bit less out. Boo hoo. Like, obviously, I don't want us to. The problem is, you know that the way the club is run, this will be used as an excuse not to back Ole in the summer.
Fucking right.
So that's the problem here. Not that United are making a bit less money because we've made 68 million profit instead of 115 million profit. I'm not sure the exact figures of that, but I'm not particularly interested in the revenue being down because United as a club ran the way you would think a football club would be run. Don't see that money anyway. And the comment there from Sky Sports. United saw the largest year-on-year decline amongst the top 20 clubs in the Money League, which, is my favourite of the
Top of the
leagues.
Money League, you'll never sing that.
Yeah, exactly. With the Bridge highlighting their lack of Champions League football as a contributing factor. Cool. So at least it's our fault. But yeah, don't worry about the pandemic. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they're just taking a bit less out this year. Good on them. There was a story today, wasn't there, that Barcelona are apparently a billion in debt. And when I saw that, everyone on Sky Sports seemed to be freaking out, like, who could ever have thought a club like this could be a billion in debt? We've given $1 billion away. Let alone being in debt. We gave $1 billion to the owners in the last 15 years.
That's what I mean. Like, you talk about that's the largest revenue decrease. Remember when we went from not being in any debt to being $1 billion in debt?
Yeah.
With the stroke of a pen.
Talk about fucking billion in debt. $1 billion in debt. We've given $1 billion away.
Did you see that on Sky Sports? It was weird when it was like someone had died.
Yeah.
They were mourning. They were and they don't know if they're going to be able to pay the players. Here's a guy sat in his front room crying. He's going to tell us more about it. And it was like, what is all this about? Yeah. I'm pretty sure they'll persevere. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see clubs struggling because of the pandemic. I get that, but I'd have confidence that Barcelona, who basically were able to turn down 500 million quid for Messi in the summer, will survive. Otherwise, they probably would have sold him. Terence Kirk in the Super Chat says, bring back Keno behind Bruno and Pogba. Lol. OJ.
It'd be great when in his prime. Stick him in there.
Roy Keane, my favourite player, I think.
Kimani W, put the leopard print back on quickly. I don't wear it to make us top of the league. I wear it as a celebration when we are top of the league.
We are currently top of the league for the next 4 minutes.
That's true. Quick, get it on. Oh, that's what you mean. Sorry, I should do. 4 minutes, get it on.
Yeah.
Right, what are we talking about next then?
We've got an and finally, I think.
And finally.
Have you heard of this player called Cristiano Ronaldo?
We've got one after that as well.
Have we? Oh, well, I've not got it on my list.
Idiot.
All right then. We've got 2 and finalists.
And penultimately.
Well done. Penultimate story.
Yes.
We've got to wait for Cristiano Ronaldo. We've got to wait for him to progress, to see whether he's going to fulfil his potential before we take a punt on him and bring him back to Old Trafford. Because he might be good now, or he might show you little signs.
It won't last with him.
But exactly, what we need to do is wait a couple of years, and then if he is any good, we'll bring him back when he's, 40?
Same with Pellistri. Well, basically, Ronaldo was essentially on loan at Juve. He was on loan at Real Madrid. And when we want him, when we've decided he's good enough to improve the levels at United, we'll bring him back. Talk us through this story then, Jay. What's going on here?
Well, it's pretty much what it says on the tin, that there's apparently we're not going to be able to get him for the next 2 years. You can see there on the graphic, it says Manchester United could be forced to wait at least 2 years for the chance to bring Cristiano back to Old Trafford, according to reports. Now...
reports.
I'm going to go out on a minute. And, our job here is to report the news, not create news. We say what is being said about Manchester United Football Club. We invite you to get involved in the conversation. We appreciate your comments. And we just, we have that discussion. Me and Joe discuss it, you discuss it. That doesn't mean that we agree with the stories that are being published. And I think this story is an absolute load of bollocks from start to finish. Because Manchester United could be forced, which is meaningless, so we could not, to wait at least 2 years, arbitrary number, 2 years, for the chance, so not even the guarantee, just the chance to bring Cristiano Ronaldo back to Old Trafford, according to reports.
Right.
And reports, that magical term, reports. Yeah. Reports have told me that apparently we could be forced to wait 2 years for the chance to bring Ronaldo back.
At least 2 years.
At least 2 years, yeah. So not 2 years, at least
2 years.
to bring Ronaldo back to Old Trafford.
2+, yeah.
At which point also, in case anyone hadn't done the maths, it'll be 37?
Yeah.
So, I don't like to disparage journalists or people that are reporting or whatever, but that just seems like a load of drivel and it's meaningless.
I agree. I largely agree. And from your side of the argument, agree with you completely. And from the other side of the argument, if United want Ronaldo, they're going to have to pay a lot of money for him anyway. It could happen this summer. It could happen in the winter. It could happen next. I don't think this 2 years thing is anything other than shite, to be honest. And there's a chance that we may get him back. most likely we won't get him back in 2 years, 1 year, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. I doubt he'll ever come back to Manchester United. So the idea that, like you said, there's this arbitrary minimum time frame that we have to wait, I think that's just covering their back for in 2 years' time when we may have a chance of buying him. If we do, here's what I wrote. If we don't, everyone's forgot because it was 2 years ago. I don't think we'll sign Ronaldo, and I don't think we need to worry about that.
Someone else is saying, I actually think I had him down as 37. Someone saying he'll be 38 in 2 years. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. The one thing, though, is certain there'll always be Ronaldo returning to United rumours. As long as he's playing football, you're always going to have those stories.
As long as he's playing football and the 2 years after he retires. Because Ronaldo's 36 or whatever, presumably is 36. He will be an excellent player for at least another 2 years.
Yeah.
He may not be, I think it's, 84 goals in 105 games for Juve? Something like,
stupid.
0.8 goals per game, something like that. I don't know how long he can stay at that level for. But, he's certainly going to be a good player for at least another year, probably another 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised to see him doing what Zlatan's doing, playing 39, maybe 40, especially if he stays in that league. So, there's going to be reports of him coming back to United, like you said, for probably 4 or 5 more years. And, I don't mind him particularly, but I don't think it's going to happen, is it?
No, I don't think it is. So, yeah, we'll keep you posted on that one. See us in a couple of years.
Yes.
We'll let you know whether that's happened.
And finally, Jay.
And finally.
For
real this time.
Yes.
Yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, oh, you remembered. Good lad. It is on your list, or is it not?
At least I didn't think he scored on Sunday, you dickhead. Yeah. Reece Williams couldn't even mark Ollie out of the game. What year is it? Where am I? Oh. So
Dickhead, he said. Of all the words.
We like each other, really. Well, I like Joe. I don't know if he likes me anymore.
I used to.
There's a new contract for Solskjaer.
Right.
Or is there?
Right.
Well, no, apparently.
Okay.
Because he's doing rather well. There's been suggestions that he could be getting his contract extension. And Simon Stone, who is ultra reliable, well, I think he's just reporting what Ollie said himself, to be fair, says, Ollie says no talks yet about a new Manchester United contract. Less than 18 months left on his current deal, but praises hierarchy for staying strong during rough patches. 2 parts of this, and I'll start them in reverse order. Do you think the hierarchy deserve praising for staying strong? Because you, like me, you're not, not too fond of the Old Trafford hierarchy. You're not exactly Ed Woodward's or the Glazers' biggest fans, obviously. Yeah. But do you think anyone deserves credit? The powers that be deserve credit for sticking by it? Do you think there was a time when maybe if they'd have pulled the plug, we'd have all gone, all right then, yeah, I can understand that?
I don't think there was a time when me or probably you or probably a lot of other United fans would have said, we agree with the decision. I think there was a time, and you've seen the same thing now with Frank Lampard, where they could have pulled the plug, and whilst people would have been pissed off, people would have been upset, all the fans would have said, why have you sacked him, we like him, this is ridiculous, this is ludicrous. There would have been a general consensus that when we could see it coming.
Yeah.
I think there was a we could see it coming period, and maybe a couple of those periods as well, to be honest. So whilst I don't think they ever would have got support from the fans, I think there was a time when they could have got away with it because, well, that's what football's like these days.
Got away with it, yeah.
Whereas now, he's obviously fought through that with, top of the league for, 4 seconds longer. And it's unanimous that he will be staying. There's no question about that, certainly till the end of the season. I can't imagine, unless something incredible happens, he's going to be going anywhere. So I wouldn't necessarily give them credit for sticking with him because there was never a point where he deserved to be sacked in my eyes. But I would say there was a point when I wouldn't have been surprised to see him go because all modern football, what's it like, another sacrifice, all that shit. Like what we're seeing with Lampard, I don't think he deserved to be sacked. But especially with Chelsea, especially with what football is like these days, which is such a broad term used by people going anywhere from too many foreign players to, managing to get sacked too quickly. So I don't really like saying what football these days because it's just shite. But the way things are, it's not a surprise to see Lampard sacked. And again, you could have done the same with Solskjaer. And again, I'm pretty sure that is in response to Solskjaer, to Lampard being sacked. Him saying, credit to the board for sticking with us during some tough times because look over there, Lampard didn't get that same backing when he's gone through an equally difficult time, or to be honest, not even as difficult a time as we've gone through under Ole. So maybe in that respect they deserve a little bit of credit, but for me, they never would have got the backing of most fans if they had have sacked him. In terms of a new contract...
well done, that was my second point.
Again, it is funny because you look that he's got less than 18 months left on his deal now, so around 18 months left on his deal. That's what Tuchel's been given, by the way, at Chelsea.
Months.
That's a brand new, fresh, full deal at Chelsea, and then there's an option for an extra year, but he has signed an 18-month deal at Chelsea. And that's like, we're talking like, oh, there's less than 18 months on his deal, not long left. And Tuchel's like, come in, here's a full deal, every single minute is left on this deal. What is it, 18 months? Is that it? So the idea that we're even talking about extending his deal when there are other managers biting your hand off for an 18-month deal shows that there is still a slightly different expectation around the way Man United treat managers. Maybe some of that has been weathered and is withering after, certainly Van Gaal, I think, was probably the most wrongly dismissed manager, if there was any. Obviously, Moyes only stayed 8 months, and Mourinho got sacked pretty swiftly as well after things turned down. So I'm not surprised that, you know, people are talking about it, but I do like that there is still a slightly different standard that people hold United to, maybe over other clubs, in terms of there's 18 months left on his deal, high time he gets a new one. He won't get one yet, but I think if he stays doing what he's doing, win a trophy this season, comfortably top 4, maybe pushing for a title, we might see one at the end of the year. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he said there's a little bit more on that quote. He said, Ollie, when he was talking about his contracts in today's presser, said, we looked at the squad, the situation we were in, we put a long-term plan in place, we knew there would be some patchy periods and we had to stay strong mentally. And then he goes on to say, I'm very grateful for the communication, which has been very open all the time. I also think as well, you mentioned Jose there, maybe the board have sort of learned a lesson, because remember when we gave Jose a new deal?
Yeah.
And he's in the season before he got sacked, I think around Christmas time.
That was weird. Even at the time, that felt
weird.
Yeah,
because we were second, but we were like 20 points behind City.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you're doing a good job, here's an extension, here's a new deal. And then 5 months later, whatever it was, well, it was about a year later, to be fair. But halfway through the next season, and he was sacked.
I think that was an example of, see now, where the way they persevered with Ole a little bit was a sort of, it shouldn't be a surprise, but maybe it is a bit of a surprise that they stuck with him, and I'm glad they did. And the pressure was never ludicrously high. I'm not giving the board too much credit, but they stuck with him. I think that is an example of us actually sticking with the manager. What they did with Jose is an example of us wanting to look like the sort of club that really trusts managers. Yeah. Oh, look at us. Jose's doing fine. A man who typically and predictably explodes after 3 years. What we're going to do is, because we're Man United, we give very long contracts to him. We'll give you an extension, lad. Like, that was just stupid.
It was.
And you always have to wait and see with Jose, and I think we did that to look like the sort of club that gives their managers a bit more time, whereas actually sticking with Ole is an example of when we have kind of shown our managers a little bit more time. Yeah, and he always seems to have a good relationship, Ole, with the owners and with the powers that be. And with the players as well.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't seem, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but he certainly doesn't give the impression of anyone who doesn't get on with his employers. Where Jose, he was always fraught, even in the good times. Yeah. There was still all these question marks, and he never seemed 100% happy. Ollie does seem a lot more happier with the setup and where things are going. And even when he doesn't get his targets, we know he wanted Jadon Sancho, he didn't get him. He don't kick up a fuss. He doesn't, he doesn't play like Phil Jones on the right wing to prove a point. He just gets on with it and has obviously done extremely well to take us. Are we no longer top now? Is that done at the Hawthorns? Was it at the Hawthorns? Yeah.
Second chance to go back top tomorrow.
Yeah, against Sheffield United, and that rounds up that nicely, because we will be here for the game tomorrow. Yeah. You're going to be on the watch along, aren't you? With who's on with you?
It's going to be me, Adam McCullough, and Andy Tate.
Andy Tate.
Yes.
Also, Stephen Housen's going to be here with all his analysis as well. Yep. I'll be here with Joe after the game. We'll also have all the build-up as well, so we'll have all your predictions. We'll have some of the pre-match comments as well. We'll have the team news when that's announced. So, from a sort of, is it about an hour and a half before kick-off tomorrow night? So make sure
starting an hour and a half before kick-off. Every single match as well. Every
single match. That's what happens. And also in the morning, well, tomorrow afternoon, sorry, at lunchtime, we've got a Tier 1 podcast with a very well-respected journalist, one of the most recognisable journalists in the land. So make sure you check out the Tier 1 podcast with myself, Ronaldo, and Henry Winter. I may as well say it.
Just say it.
Is it? Yeah, say it.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Always good with Henry.
Yeah, he'll be giving us his thoughts
Mr.
on
Winter.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and United's transfer dealings as well. This has been the Transfers Live, even.
It has been Transfers Live.
Are you my friend now? What are you still?
Well, you
off
just
camera,
shouted. It's just because you shouted at me twice. We'll talk about it off camera, won't we?
I'm in a bit of trouble here. That's been Joe Smith. Guys, appreciate all your comments as well. Thanks for everyone who got involved in the chat. And thanks for everyone who's watching. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. Don't forget as well, take like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.